Hello again, everyone, and welcome to APC Webinar series. Again, I'm Sean Lee, APC Sports Manager. How are you today? Hope everyone is well and safe wherever you are now. I see many people are already with us. Thank you for joining us, and I'm sure more will be joining us shortly. Today we have Mr. Sam Turner with us. He is now CEO and Secretary General of International Federation of CP Football. Also, he worked as board member and technical delegates in many IFCPF activities and events for many years. I'm sure most of you recognize him already. Sam is going to give us an introduction to CP Football and support available from the IFCPF. Before the session begins, please make sure your microphone is on mute during the session. There will be a Q&A time at the end of the session. However, you are welcome to ask any question in the chat window anytime. Also, don't forget to send your full name in English together with the email address in the chat window so that we can make your certification accordingly. Without further ado, I hand the microphone over to Sam, please.
Thank you. I'll just share my screen so you can see the presentation, hopefully clear for everybody. Okay, as I put in the chat box, fantastic to see so many familiar faces in the webinar today, people from both within the CP Football family and the wider Asian Paralympic Committee family as well. So thank you to all of you for joining. It's inspirational to see so many people who are ready to find out more and connect with CP Football. So just quickly about me, I know that you'll be looking at me on the screen and thinking, how has this guy got 16 years plus experience in football for persons with disabilities? But I started at a very young age, around 15, 16 years of age, as a volunteer, and it's been my life passion around football for people with disabilities and also many other sports as well. And then I have a few other roles teaching in the university around adapted sports, and also the adventure and outdoor activity like climbing and sailing and all of those sorts of activities. It'd be fantastic to connect with many of you after the program, because the Asian Football Confederation and Aurora, who are based in Jordan, are currently running a social responsibility program for youth ambassadors. And I'm leading on that program around diversity and inclusion. So that means that we've now got every football federation and football association across Asia now ready and keen to develop their social responsibility programs. And a big part of that is around disability and para sport. And you may also have seen some of the other bits that I've been involved with around frame football, which is very big in Japan and Malaysia and a number of other countries. And also I'm involved with a new project around skate soccer in Africa at the moment as well. So that's just a little bit of history about me. That's me in the blue shirt on the left side of the picture. So very quick, just a little introduction video from IFCPF. and that's our little short video, but we have a longer video which is available on our YouTube channel, which gives a longer and more detailed introduction to CP football, covering competition, classification, coaching, development, all those areas. So please go and check that out in your own time, and you can find out a little bit more. So I want to make today quite interactive. So I want you to treat this as a competition, treat it like a football match. And if you answer any questions, or if you share anything at the end in the question and answer, or if you ask a question in the chat, then you'll be scoring yourself a goal. So see which country can get the most goals during the session today. Can you score a goal? And can you be on that leaderboard? So we'll be keeping out for those regular goal scorers and see who is our Lionel Messi or our Cristiano Ronaldo in the webinar today. So just quickly about IFCPF. So we are the International Federation of Cerebral Palsy Football. So as it says there, we are the worldwide governing body for the sport. In Asia, we have a strong relationship with the Asian Football Confederation, who are a fantastic partner and give us great support to develop the sport in the region. And then we are also a member of the International Paralympic Committee as a recognised international federation, and of course proud to be a partner of the Asian Paralympic Committee as well. About the sport, so we are known as CP Football, or have been Football 7-a-side within the Paralympic Games programme. We've been around since 1978 at the international level, but of course long before that at the recreational level. We class ourselves as an adapted form of football, because at the end of the day our players are football players, and we recognise them for their talents and their strengths and their skill as football players. So we make adaptations to the IFAB, the international laws of the game for football, and to make our sport specific to those people with cerebral palsy or related conditions. So that's why we are an adapted format of the mainstream 11-a-side football that you see from FIFA and AFC. So I want to put the challenge to you, and if we can use the chat box, I'll try and have a look, see if there's any good answers that pop up. But can anyone tell me in the chat, what are the changes to regular football? What do you know about CP football? And I'll see if we've got any goal scorers in the group. So if you put in the chat, so size of the field has come in. Fantastic, great answer. We've got a goal there. I'm not sure which country, but yeah, our field is 70 meters by 50 meters. People in the field, another fantastic goal. Yeah, so as you've seen, 7-a-side football. So we have a smaller number of people on the pitch. Oh, another goal's come in. They're coming in very quick and fast now. Throwing the ball. So yeah, we have an underarm throw as well as the over the head throw, so that provides the option for our players. Size of the goal post, another great goal from Joseph, fantastic. So our goals are 5 meters by 2 meters. These goals are coming in very quick now, hard to keep up. No offside rule, fantastic. Yeah, so we don't have the offside rule in CP football to support the mobility and the speed of our players, but also to keep the game quite quick and fast as well. So yeah, some fantastic goals coming in there. But if you want to find out about all the adaptations and things, then you can look at our website, but also the video as well. But as I say, we play regular rules of football with some of those great adaptations that you've seen from people popping up in the chat. So I'll click on now. So around the disability, the impairment group of cerebral palsy. So this is a umbrella heading, so we cover a number of the impairment groups within the Paralympic recognised impairments. But there are 17 million people worldwide with cerebral palsy, so quite a big number across the world. and it's also the most common childhood physical disability. So again, our program not only supports those players who you saw in the video, but also getting children physically moving and mobile, helping that physical development is really, really important. Around 1 in 400 babies. There are slightly more boys than girls. Not sure if that just comes down to demographics, but slightly more. It's a lifelong disability as well. So it is something that that happens to a child either before, during, or shortly after birth for it to be cerebral palsy. And then maybe we have things later in life around acquired brain injuries. So again, it's a disability that is there as a lifelong condition. And we are expecting that as the world population increases, and a number of other things around more babies born, more babies surviving maybe difficult births and things like that. So the number of people with cerebral palsy is increasing all the time. So again, another reason why this sport is really important to get out there and get more people playing. I think we've got an artist in the room. I'm not sure where that came from. But... So another video, this one is a little bit longer, but this comes from our member in Kazakhstan, the Kazakhstan Football Federation. And this is, for me, an inspirational video that always brings me close to tears every time I watch it. So hopefully you will have a little look now, and hopefully it inspires you and around why CP football and football for people with disabilities is so important.
Мои крылья, будто сижу в фюзеляже. Я игрок и всегда до конца иду, остальное неважно. Неважно, что скажут. Забью и промажу, упаду, встану. За меня бьется каждый, за каждого бьюсь, вот это и важно. Спасибо, команда, мы семья и друзья, это сила. Непокоренные, непобежденные. Все в наших руках, мне удача звонила. Я с детства мечтаю, вижу мечтам есть свойство сбываться. Наша цель высоко-высоко, но с нашей командой мы сможем добраться.
Нет мечты, их нельзя измерить.
И друзья, которых стоит верить.
Каждый важен, если на пределе. Каждый первый в своем деле. Мы знаем, в чем правда. Ты наша команда. И она без тебя высоко не светит. Без тебя никогда не победить.
So if that video came across well for everybody, and you saw it, and you got the music and everything, then maybe like me, even though I've watched it maybe 100 times now, every time that I watch that, that's why I know that we need to keep on doing the great work that we're doing across the world. And I was really privileged to go to Kazakhstan and be part of that program when we started it. And I promise you that if you start on the journey with CP football, then you will not only change your own life, but you'll change so many other lives through being part of that program. So now just coming on to the participation of CP football, and this is what we're aware of, but many more programs are popping up all the time that we never knew about. So we're finding out more as we work to connect the CP football family even more. So more than 84 countries across the world have got some level of CP football program, and we're working with many others to develop that and spread the message to even more. As you know, our primary sport and the reason that we're here is around the cerebral palsy football, the 7-a-side football game that you will have seen within the Paralympic Games, within the Asian Games, and a number of other programs. But we've also developed frame football, which is for children or young people with a greater level of physical disability who maybe use a walking frame to support them with their day-to-day mobility. So again, this was in a former life, in a former role in England, we developed frame football, but it's fantastic to see now that we're really spreading that across the world. And this is part of our journey and ambition to make sure that every child, every person with cerebral palsy has a way to play the game. We don't want anyone to be left out from football. So that, again, this is how we make sure that we create those opportunities for everybody. Then in terms of the groupings within our game is 15, 16 years plus as the adult game. Then we have a strong female program. Sadly, due to the coronavirus that seems to be putting everything on hold for everyone at the moment and being a bit of a pain, it's meant that our first World Cup that was meant to be happening this year for female players has now been postponed to next year. But we've maintained that, and we have a strong female program at the development level. The support we've provided to different countries to start their own programs, and then all the way up to the World Cup. We then also have a program around youth and under-19 football. So again, to be similar to the regular game through AFC or UEFA or FIFA, we want to support young players on the start of their international pathway, that journey. So supporting through maybe some of the regional para games or other programs, previously working in partnership with CP Israel to have the first World Championships for under-19 as well. So again, depending on the situation and the position in every country, it differs in where they start their journey to become part of the CP football family. Okay, if there's questions, please drop them in the chat and we'll try and pick them up later on, but I'll go through the presentation and then we'll have the opportunity for the Q&A. Classification, I'm not going to explain CP football classification in detail to you today, otherwise this webinar will still be here same time next week. So we'll try and keep it very simple, but IFCPF is fully compliant with the IPC's athlete classification code, and we have been since the 1st of January in 2017 when it was a requirement for all international federations. We've very much tried to simplify our classification to help athletes, coaches, classifiers, people all around the world to understand and help us to make it easy within the game as well. So our classes are FT1, FT2 and FT3. So just 3 classes. And generally speaking, these are severe involvement of the disability. So if it has a big impact on the player, then they are our class 1 players. If it has a moderate involvement, then they are our class 2 players. And then those with a minimal involvement are our class 3 players. And then you'll see also our line for our minimum impairment criteria. Okay. Then within each of those classes are the different types of impairment and where in the body the impairment affects our athletes. So we've got our category A is around bilateral spasticity. So that is the spasticity, the cerebral palsy affects the player within both of their lower limbs, so more evident in both of their legs. Our category B, so athetosis and dystonia, ataxia, is where there is an involvement of the impairment throughout the entire body of the player. So again, this may cause the involuntary movements, the shakiness, the unbalance. So that we'll see that involvement through the entire player, from their head through all their core body and then through the limbs. Then our category C is our traditional hemiplegic or our unilateral spasticity, where a player is affected down one side of their body. So usually, it's the arm and the leg on the same side of the body, and we'll see that very key difference between the two sides of the body. It's always important to keep in mind as well that what that minimum impairment criteria means is that athletes have to have a certain level of impairment, a certain involvement within the game that limits them and limits their performance to make them eligible for the game. There will, of course, be athletes who maybe don't meet that minimum impairment criteria, and they may be better served through recreational football or even through the regular game of football. But again, we always work with our members to support them to find an opportunity for everyone to play the game. Okay, so in terms of our pathways, this is a very traditional model following regular football. We have everything from participation programs where we get the kids started and excited. We give them the dream, get them loving the grass, loving the ball and playing for fun and for developing. And then we work up that pathway. We try to work with our members to support them to establish national championships, competitions, so that players can be regularly active and playing in their own country. And then we work up our recognised competitions, maybe development events or sub-regional competitions, because we want to have things on a local level as much as possible to limit travel, to limit the asks on resources and finances, but to make sure that people start on that international competition journey. We then have our regional championships across all the regions. For us, we have Asia and Oceania together at the moment for the Asian region. So we have there's the 4 regions. And then we have our world events. So world events can be Paralympic Games, can be World Cup, World Championships. And you'll see at the bottom of the slide here that in a normal 2020, we would have had our Nations Cup for the top 8 teams in the world, and then a Nations Championships for all the other teams in the world. We split our competition to make it more cost effective and to make it more competitive, and to support our members who fed back to us that they needed shorter competitions that were less expensive and easier to get to, and less commitment in time as well. So we always take the feedback from our members and make sure that our competitions serve them and serve their needs. Next year would have been our regional championships, but we've shifted the 2020 events to be 2021 instead. So we will miss that regional championships, and then we will continue with our cycle. So we have regional championships every other year, and then world events every other year. And then below this, all those other levels of competition continue to run, so we can make sure that every country, no matter what their amount of club football, you will know through the Asian Football Confederation's Champions League, you'll know the UEFA Champions League. Sometimes the UEFA Champions League can be bigger than the FIFA World Cup, depending on which team you support and how you see football. So the same within CP football, we recognise that club football is very, very important. So this year we scheduled the first Champions League for CP football. That would now be taking place in 2021, but we were really, really positive to see at least 8 club teams entered and covering 3 of the 4 world regions within that as well. So this is really a very exciting program that will start as a World Champions League, and then maybe in the future can evolve into regional Champions Leagues. So start selling the dream with your players, getting those club teams together, and you never know, you might be playing or leading a team in the next Champions League. Mentioned about our Nations Cup and our Nations Championships. So that's the top 8 teams in the world playing in Italy next year, and then all the other teams in the world can enter to play in the Nations Championships in Barcelona. Then, as I mentioned, we have the first female World Cup taking place in 2021, and that's a 5-a-side format. We already had at least 8 teams from, again, 3 out of the 4 world regions entered for that World Cup, which was hugely positive because we really accelerated that development, and the response from our members has been amazing. So we hope to see many more female players and female teams joining the CP football family. But alongside that, we recognise the importance of development as well. So for maybe countries who have 1 or 2 players, or maybe they feel they're not right at the right level to participate in a World Cup event, then we have a development camp where players can come, they can observe the female World Cup, they can have expert coaching and support and development, and then they can build for the future to maybe play in our next World Cup. So again, making sure that we have a high quality level at the top of the game, a real competition, a real World Cup that does justice to the fantastic players that we have in the game. But then also we need to underpin that with that development to support players, countries, coaches on that pathway to achieve that level. So really supporting all parts of that pathway is really, really key. Okay, so just added here about the sub-regions that the Asian Paralympic Committee recognised, and this is going to be a goal for the future as well. In a little while, I'll be introducing one of our members to share a bit of insight about the fantastic work that they're doing. But what we're looking to do, as well as having those world and regional events, is then have these sub-regional events as well, because we recognise, again, the position, the finance, the development, but also the shared culture within some of the sub-regions, where it works really well to have a competition within the sub-region. And if we can support that, we can get sub-regional competitions go into these players, have as many opportunities as possible, and that is really, really important for us. And again, as we're all aware of the UN Sustainable Development Goals and trying to limit as much wasted resources, then the sub-regional level is a real key, a real objective for us for the future. So I know a few of the people who are in this webinar who I'll be linking further with around developing some of these sub-regions as well. So just a quick introduction to frame football. Just quickly, I was going to use the polls, but I forgot about it. Never mind, we won't use the poll, but just quickly, maybe we'll use the chat. Has anyone heard of frame football already? Are you aware of it? Is there any frame football activity in your country? Be interesting to see if anyone pops in the chat from your country. Are you aware of frame football, or do you have any activity? Let us know which country you're from if you are aware of it, and I'll keep an eye on the chat. Here we go. Here's the poll. So the questions come up. Are you already aware of frame football before this webinar? So if you can click yes or no on that poll, and then we'll see what the numbers are from within the webinar. As you're just doing that, I'll just continue with an overview about the sport. So frame football is for those athletes with high support needs, and we developed it in 2014 because we saw so many of these players who were just watching others play football and had no way to play the game. So we looked at it, we developed it, and then created it as a new program. So we've already supported a number of our members to develop this, and we're hoping to do more in the future. But also this is a fantastic way to help players with that physical development, and they may also be your future CP football players, because sadly many of the children who use these walking frames, or maybe use a wheelchair, or who walk a small amount, if they aren't physically active, then their physical development can go backwards, and it means that when they reach adulthood, then they will be a wheelchair user, when potentially they could have developed physically to a point where they were able to run and walk and play ambulance sports. So that's why frame football is really, really important, because it gives that opportunity to players to develop physically, to develop emotionally, mentally, socially, but then hopefully maybe be CP football players in the future. Fantastic examples in both Malaysia. They've got a fantastic frame football program, and also Japan through Esperanza, the club in Japan. They again do loads of fantastic work around frame football. So if this is something of interest, please reach out and contact me, and we can chat further about it. Just see what's popped up. Okay, seeing that Sandeep's mentioned about an athlete using a crocodile walker. So just to mention, so there's different types of frames. At the very start, whatever their frame is, it's about participation, getting them playing, getting them involved, getting them to fall in love with football. And then after that, when we maybe develop the game more, there's a company in England who've developed a sport-specific frame which is designed for football, so it's a lot stronger, and is designed, you know, for tackles and all that sort of thing. So again, as we develop the game like other sports, then you can see. Okay, frame football, brilliant. 62% aware. Wow, that's really nice to see. And hopefully, if we've got that awareness, that means now we've got a little bit of an inspiration to develop the game as well. So I expect to see many Asian countries popping up around development of frame football, keeping my emails and my WhatsApp very busy. Okay, so just to move on, as I said, we have a partnership with the Asian Football Confederation to develop CP football across Asia. So this is very important for all of you to be aware of, because what it means is that if we partner with Paralympic committees and football federations, we can have the football expertise, the para sport expertise, put them together, but then there is that support through the Asian Football Confederation and through the Asian Paralympic Committee to then take that development forward. And again, I mentioned before about the IPC. So we've been a Paralympic sport from 1984 through to Rio 2016. And we're a fully recognised international sport federation with the IPC, and also fully compliant with the IPC's classification code. And again, we're, you know, still part of various programs, part of the America's Paralympic Committee Games in Santiago 23, and a lot of other things as well. Oh, great to see. I've seen about CP football, frame football being done at the grassroots level. So that's really nice to see in the chat. Thank you. Remember, everyone, if you're giving answers, you're scoring goals. So keep a list of how many goals you've got, and we'll see how we are at the end. So this is now about, you've heard a bit about CP football, what it is, how we're organised, but how can we support you? We're not here to say, oh, there's this fantastic game, now you need to do it. No, this is a partnership. We're here to support you, to help you along that journey, so that we can work together. So some of the things that we can do to help. So there's the work with the Asian Football Confederation. So again, sharing that expertise and working together. IFCPF also have a CP football course So this is over 2.5 to 3 days. We go to a new country and then we deliver a workshop about coaching, development, classification, refereeing, all the areas of the game to give you that introduction and that insight to get you started. And we give a grant of €2,000 to the host country to cover things like organising the classroom, the field of play, maybe the accommodation for the tutors that we send. So again, we help you with that. We do try to organise these courses for a group of countries. One, so that we can do that in an effective and efficient way, so we maximise the resources because we haven't got an unlimited amount of money, but also to bring a group of countries together so they can support one another, maybe organise competition with one another and learn from each other, so it's a collaborative learning experience. The other thing that we do for that CP football course is we pay for the flights of 2 tutors to travel and come to you. So again, we have a list of tutors who are expert around CP football and have many, many years experience around coaching, development, classification. So they're there to kind of mentor, to help and guide and support you on that journey. Across a number of the initiatives that we've run, most recently around the female game, we've also given development grants, or we've involved members in development projects as well. So we had a development project around our Asian regional competition where AFC gave us some grant funding to support the countries to attend. In Europe, we currently have a female development project where we've got a number of our member organisations involved and all receiving financial support to be part of that programme as well. So there's a number of different programmes and initiatives where we can work together and provide that support to enable you to get CP football, frame football, or the female game off the ground and really growing. Also, we as a federation have an online platform. So through Facebook, it's a workplace platform where all of our members are on there and they can contact one another directly. They can share best practice. They can ask questions to each other. They can access a whole load of resources, but we're not protective about our lists and our contacts, but actually we want to link everyone, connect everyone and get you talking to each other. So again, we really connect that membership and make it a collaborative learning experience and a shared responsibility to develop the game worldwide, so that we do that as a CP football family, not just a world governing body trying to do what they can, but actually everyone is part of this and we all work together and share that with each other. So one of the last bits that really cover, I won't go into detail on this, but we have an education program within IFCPF. So you can look on our website and I'll share the details in a moment, but we have 6 areas of our education program. Our training ground is our online courses. So this is currently being developed and we hope to launch this with our members at the start of November. So there'll be online courses around classification, coaching, refereeing, but also other areas maybe such as mental health and things like that. So there's a lot of development going into that at the moment, and that will be a fantastic resource. Our action replay is our bank of videos, whether that's match footage, whether that's videos from national programs, from a range of different places where you in your own time can have a look, watch those videos, learn and expose yourself to the game. But that's for people to learn within their own time. We have a webinar program similar to this, our transfer window, so about transferring knowledge into and out of the sport, where we share that collaboratively. We get expert guest speakers to come in and give a presentation or have a talk, and then we invite our members to interact with them as well. We have our knowledge library, which is a bank of documents, resources, links to websites. So on our platform, there is a huge amount of online courses that you can do, documents you can read, example templates. We're adding to that all of the time because again, we recognise it's our responsibility to share and to support our members as much as possible. The study visit is our courses. So when we go and deliver courses in country, we do something physically in person. We maybe do that as a course, or we maybe do it as a visit with a group of coaches, maybe visiting a program and all sharing ideas and learning from one another. And then the last part is our team talk. So this again is where we're not delivering to people, but maybe we're getting a group of national team coaches together and saying, right, what do you all think? What is your feedback? How do you want this game to be? And then we have a discussion, and that comes from maybe the coaches or maybe the athletes, but it is about bringing people together in a team to share their insights, to open our eyes, their eyes, to really take the game forward and develop it further. So through that education program, we hope to reach everyone in a different way, to support everybody's learning styles, but provide you with the opportunities to learn in the way that's right for you. And maybe it is around work, around family, it's in the middle of the night watching videos on YouTube or reading documents, however it is that you are. Again, we want to make sure that our education program doesn't restrict people, but actually provides multiple ways in which you can engage with your learning and engage with the sport of CP football as well. So this is my last slide, but just to give you our contact information. So that is my email address, where you can all contact me. And then our social media channels are all at IFCPF. So you'll be able to find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, also find us on YouTube. Again, you can pick those all up through our website. But it'd be fantastic if you can share anything with us from today. If this webinar is useful to you, then please let us know. But also, if you want to share any photos, videos, anything of activity or individuals in your own country, then please post that and let us know as well. Our website is there, ifcpf.com. So again, there's a huge amount of information there for you to look at within your own time. And you can also let us know if there's anything else that you would like to see there that would support you and provide you with more information as well. So the next thing I just want to do before we ask for any questions from everyone is I asked Mr. Rajesh Tomar from our member in India, who's also very familiar and been part of the Asian Paralympic Committee in the past as well. So I asked him to attend today to share a little bit of an insight from that national level on the ground, how is it working, and some of the fantastic work that they're doing. So Rajesh, I'll stop sharing my screen, and if you can unmute yourself, it would be an absolute honour to have you share some of your perspectives from India.
Thank you, Sam, for a wonderful presentation which included video, the game, the pathways, and the competitions. I, on behalf of football fraternity in India, from the Cerebral Palsy body, I welcome most of my colleagues, Swang Hoon, Abed, Michelle, I can see from the APC and all. So it's nice to see you all, and also the great team of Honsao 2022, which is a great team, nice to see. Okay, now, and a lot of NPCs from Afghanistan, I can see Aryan here, and a couple of more colleagues which we have worked with. It's a very informative program, Sam, which you have given, and it's my experience working with cerebral palsy for the last couple of years, besides working for the Paralympic movement, is that CP football is the discipline which is the fastest growing discipline. You know, everyone wants to play soccer, everybody wants to play football. So that's how we picked up this discipline, because we could see the change and the enthusiasm of people around. And you know, we had initially started, how we started this movement of CP football in India. We had scheduled a national championship, which was to be held in the month of March 2020. But unfortunately, because of this pandemic, and we had a good turnout of about 8 teams, which we were conducting at the national level. But unfortunately, because of the pandemic, there was a problem. So we thought we have to move forward. We can't just wait for it. CPSFI has joined hands with the able body, All India Football Federation. And they were very kind enough to support us and take us through this journey of football. CP is supported by All India Football Federation. They have Isaac Doru, they have Mr. Ratin Saha, who have been promoting us and guiding us all through for the technical support of every event we do. The agreement between our able body or AIFF and CPSFI was signed on 15th of August 2020. It's a 4-year program in which they will support us. And Sam, I will give you a good news that I'm waiting for the EB meeting to happen. We may also be bidding for the World Cup 2022. So we are, this is what I'm just telling you, but I have to just get it confirmed from the EB meeting. So we are quite ready for it. In addition to that, we have also in India started a e-Pathshala program, which is like, you know, training the CP enthusiast kids. And there was a special program which was developed for CP children, and it was developed by none other than All India Football Federation and Sports Authority of India. You'll be pleased to know that CPSFI has connected with more than 700 NGOs in India, and we have sent mails to them to join this program. And many children are joining this program. There is a special class of CP children who has undertaken this program. It's a very exciting program which we have partnered with the All India Football Federation and Sports Authority of India, and special category of CP football enthusiasts in them. So we see a great change in this. Then we also in CPSFI, as Sam, you are aware that we had discussions with the members of South Asian countries, in which we had invited most of the NPCs in Afghanistan, Maldives, Sri Lanka, everybody, most of the Bangladesh, Badiru Zaman had participated from there. And we welcomed the idea, and because everybody welcomed it, because we had participation from outside India also in this particular this e-Pathshala program. Then, as I've already mentioned, that we have been able to connect with a lot of NGOs in CP, because football comes in later. First, we have to get hold of the CP children, which we had an initial problem, but gradually we connected with everybody. Our associations in various states in Punjab, Gujarat are doing a tremendous work. So I think everything is possible, and I wish IFCPF good luck for the times to come. And I would like to thank APC and Michelle and Abed and Song Hoon and everybody, my colleagues, you know, for having this webinar for CP football and many more to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rajesh. Really appreciate that insight from you. As I said, for everybody, that it's a fantastic example from India in many ways. Their partnership with the All India Football Federation shows that how both para-sport and the regular football game can work together, and they've produced the online e-Pathshala program, where they've not only engaged people from across India, but across the whole South Asian region, even beyond that, to many other countries all over the world as well. And again, to hear the number of NGOs that CPSFI are connected with just shows that example to other countries, that if you start and you're passionate about it and you look for these opportunities, then you know there's so many others out there who share the same dream, the same goal, where you can work together, and they will be part of that and helping you to find the athletes and find the players. So thank you for that, Rajesh. You've just announced to Asia that the 2022 World Cup will be in India, so we'll have to follow through on that now, make that happen. But that's great to hear the ambition there.
Yeah, I'm aware that the last dates are aware of the bidding date, so I just have to formally put up to the members. Unofficially, we have discussed with my colleagues here, but we have to formally get it approved from there, and we are looking forward. But before the World Cup, we want to bring a bid for a very strong team in India. You know, our focus is on the grassroots level. We see many people who have joined in from India. They are all welcome to join this movement, because we want to see a very strong team from India. There is no point bidding for the games once your team doesn't perform well. So we know we have to qualify for the World Cup, and that's our aim and my team's aim for the next year, when you have in 2021, to at least come in first 8 to be eligible to participate. I'm also aware that being a host will be allowed an entry, but we want to really adopt a very fair practice by coming into the 1 to 8 teams. So I welcome all the people around here to be part of the team and join us in this movement. And you can follow our website of cpsfi.org in India. Thank you very much. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, I'll just quickly pick up on the questions here. So we just had one question about the composition of a 7-a-side playing team on the ground with the 3 classes. So fantastic question. So on the field of play, when we play a CP football competition at the international level, we have to have a minimum of 1 Class 1 on the field of play at all times. And you can have a maximum of 1 Class 3 on the field at all times. And then you can decide with the rest of the numbers, however you want to make up that team and how you want to use your players. But a really important decision for a coach, how they select their players, how they choose their players. And really important to be aware of that classification. So thank you, Sandeep, for that. Great goal by asking a question. I'll be interested to see how many goals people have scored during this webinar and how you've got on. If there's any other questions from anyone, please just quickly pop them in as we're just wrapping up the webinar now. Otherwise, I'll be handing back to Sean and the APC team to wrap up. But I'll just keep an eye on any questions there.
Sam, before you hand it over to Sean, I have a small request to make through this platform to APC with your association, and I know how APC functions in a very positive direction. And I can see the enthusiastic team of Honsau 2022 here in this platform. Since Asia is a very strong region, we have seen Kazakhstan's movement in South Asia and other regions. We want to see CP football in the next Para-Asian Games. For that, everyone has to work hard. More teams have to be there. The quality has to be there. I know APC will support definitely, because they also are encouraging players from all over. Thank you very much.
So I haven't seen any other questions popping up, but if from this webinar there's now any other things that you would appreciate another webinar on, anything more detailed around CP football or anything we've spoken about today, then again, please pop it in the chat box. Let us know. Please don't sit here for an hour and then leave thinking you've still got some big questions or anything you wish we'd covered. Let us know, and then we can hopefully try and cover that.
We got one question.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if I understand correctly, top 8 countries who play in the Nations Cup can't play in the Nations Championships. Yeah, so the top 8 teams play in that Nations Cup as the top 8 competition, and then effectively number 9 in the world onwards would then play in that Nations Championships. So we separate the two. We make sure that we don't have any big score lines, things like that, but that everyone is playing at the right level for them. But just to add to this, that the qualification criteria means that the top 8 won't always be the top 8, and there is always, like we know within football, like promotion to the top competition and relegation from the top competition to the other competitions as well.
Sam, if I may, I actually got some questions in advance from the audience. I'm not sure Mr. Badi Zuman Al-Amin is with us now. The question from him was, I wanted to know in detail about the program, but I'm pretty sure that you got all the answers for your question. But just in case, if you are with us and if you have more questions, this is time to ask.
Yeah, I know Mr. Badi Usman from Bangladesh. He's leading on a fantastic program there, and I know we'll be speaking later this week. But hopefully, if you are online, hopefully we've answered your questions and given you some information. But also reach out to me and let me know if there's anything else we can help with.
Okay. Another question from Bhutan.
Okay.
Does FIFA support CP football?
So FIFA recognise our game, and they're supportive of the organisation of CP football and the work that we do. In terms of financial support, at the moment, no, FIFA don't provide any financial support to CP football or the other types of football for people with disabilities. But we are working to build that relationship. We have a relationship with them, but hopefully in the future we can establish how that will work, maybe around any financial support or technical support and things like that.
Okay. And I think we also have the follow-up question.
The one in the chat, yeah. So top 8 in every continent. Okay, so when it is our world competitions, we have a top 8 event. So our Nations Cup and our World Cup, so the Cup competitions are both world events, and the Nations Championships and the World Championships are both world competitions. But then in the years in between, we have a regional championships, and that isn't limited to the numbers. So in 2023, we'll have regional championships, and the only difference is that in the Americas, because we're part of the Para-Pan Am, that will be 6 teams in the Para-Pan Am, and then we will have an additional competition for any others. But no, we're not limiting the numbers within a region. Obviously, I would love to see as many of you from the Asian region participating in our next regional championship. So give me that problem that I have to organise a very, very big event with a lot of countries, please.
Thank you. Any more questions from audiences for Sam?
Well, hopefully that's a very, very good sign that I've answered all your questions and given you lots of good information. But at the same time, my email address was shared already, and happy for anyone to reach out separately after the webinar today as well.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you, Sam, for your great presentation and all the information for our reason and an audience for today. Well, I have to tell that I'm inspired by the video that you shared during the presentation. I'm sure I will play so many times again and watch again. Also, thank you for Mr. Rashid for sharing your insight and experience and stories in India, and also it's good to see you again. I think this is all for today's session, unless anyone has more questions. Before we close today's session, please be informed that we will have another session, probably in November. The date and time not confirmed yet, but once we confirm the date and time, I'm sure we will share this schedule with you. So that's it for today. Stay safe and healthy, and see you all next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate you attending today and all your questions. Thank you. Take care.